All hell is breaking loose in the United States right now. And it's not random. It's not accidental. It's happening because the Trump regime is once again in full-blown cover-up mode. As pressure mounts over the Epstein files and the refusal to fully comply with the Epstein Transparency Act, Donald Trump and his allies are doing what they always do when the truth threatens them. They distract, they escalate, and they unleash violence against the public. Instead of transparency, we got a dump of heavily redacted documents and a shrug. Here it is, they said, while hiding everything that actually matters. And whenever Trump is trying to bury the truth, the cruelty ramps up. What we're witnessing across this country right now is not immigration enforcement. It's not public safety. It's intimidation. It's fear. It's federal agents operating like an unaccountable force, terrorizing neighborhoods in broad daylight, caught on camera by ordinary people brave enough to expose what's happening. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. On a quiet residential street, ICE and Border Patrol agents brutally detained a man in full view of his neighbors. They blocked his vehicle, smashed his window, dragged him out, and forced him to the ground. As they pinned him down, they pressed a knee into his head while he screamed, "I can't breathe." Neighbors screamed too. They begged the agents to stop. They told them he couldn't breathe. They filmed everything. Local police weren't involved, they weren't notified, and afterward, ICE refused to explain why this man was targeted or whether there was any warrant at all. That silence is not an accident, it's policy. And Pittsburgh was just one example. In another incident, federal agents were filmed pinning down a woman that witnesses say was pregnant. People shouted, "She's pregnant," over and over again. They warned the agents she couldn't breathe. The agents didn't stop. This is what Trump's America looks like. Masked agents throwing pregnant women to the ground while crowds beg for mercy. People being choked, dragged, beaten, and detained without explanation. And then they wonder why tourism is collapsing? Who wants to visit a country where federal agents behave like a secret police force? In Buffalo, New York, ICE targeted roofers working on a private home, working people, construction workers, guns drawn, bodies slammed to the ground, the homeowner herself demanding answers as armed agents terrorized people on her property. What was the emergency? What was the justification? Once again, no answers. Another angle from Pittsburgh shows agents circling a man, pressing him against a car, forcing a knee onto his neck while he repeats that he can't breathe. These are not isolated incidents. This is a pattern, and the people overseeing it aren't hiding. One of the most disturbing figures to emerge is Greg Bavino, a federal enforcement official who seems to treat human suffering like a joke. There's footage of agents playing rock, paper, scissors over who gets to detain or deport a human being. Let that sink in. These are people with enormous power, laughing and playing games while communities are traumatized. Even elected officials are calling it out. Illinois leaders have said plainly, this isn't enforcement, it's harassment. People are being grabbed based on how they look. Families are being ripped apart. Neighborhoods are being scarred by masked agents carrying guns. Meanwhile, Bavino goes on camera smiling, bragging about deploying hundreds of agents into Chicago, boasting about never quitting, acting like this is some kind of victory tour. What he's actually admitting is mass enforcement. Hundreds of agents, multiple teams, sweeping neighborhoods, no transparency, no accountability. That is not democracy. When journalists try to ask basic questions, ICE and Homeland Security refuse to respond. No explanation, no justification, just silence. And while officials stay silent, the human cost keeps growing. In Nashville, a pregnant woman was detained by ICE, forced to give birth while in custody, and then had her 2.5-year-old child taken away. Her baby, a U.S. citizen, was placed into state custody while she remained detained. Her charges were dropped, and still she was separated from her child. That is not justice. That is cruelty. And women are being targeted again and again. In another case, a mother was swarmed by 6 ICE agents while dropping her child off at elementary school. Her windows were smashed. She was dragged from her car and thrown to the ground in front of students, children who watched in shock. The reason? An estranged partner during a custody dispute. This system is being weaponized, used for revenge, used for intimidation, used to terrorize families. And the trauma doesn't stop with the person detained. It spreads through classrooms, families, and entire communities. Then there's footage of a man being hit by an ICE vehicle at high speed, hit so hard he flips onto the pavement. Instead of calling an ambulance, agents swarmed him and handcuffed him. Local police weren't notified. Authorities didn't know who was responsible. ICE again refused to explain whether this man was even the person they were supposedly looking for. Was it reckless violence? Racial profiling? A mistake they don't want to admit? We still don't know because they won't tell us. Mayors are now confronting federal agents directly, accusing them of bringing violence into their cities, warning residents to stay alert, encouraging rapid responders to protect their communities. Because when the federal government refuses accountability, people are forced to protect each other. And that's where the real heroes come in. Ordinary people, neighbors, women standing in parking lots with cell phones, refusing to be intimidated, demanding answers from masked agents who think they're above the law. These people aren't powerful, they're not famous, but they are brave, and they are documenting the truth. That's why this moment matters. Authoritarianism doesn't arrive overnight. It creeps in. It normalizes abuse. It counts on silence and exhaustion. It assumes people will look away. That's exactly what the Trump regime is counting on right now, while they bury the Epstein files, while they distract with fear, while they turn federal power against civilians. So don't look away. Pay attention, share what you see, protect your neighbors, demand transparency, demand accountability, because this is not normal, it is not acceptable, and it will not stop unless people stand up and say enough.